we've actually changed the EOS Hour title to be called Monthly Entrepreneurial Mastermind Group. So we're going to be marketing of this a little bit differently than just the EOS Hour. Again, what this is about is a virtual mastermind group with peers, a time to connect with business colleagues, place to gain knowledge and ideas, and an opportunity to discuss and work through business issues. That's what this is all about. Pete, that you'll enjoy this. What's your priority? It's a mindset. And so the questions I would be asking you today is, what is the most important priority that is next waiting for you to address? What is getting in your way of addressing the priorities? What are the 3 challenges around this priority? What are the 3 opportunities they may result from addressing the priority, and who needs to be engaged with you to address the priority? So I want you to think about this as we go through the meeting today. We're still going to provide some general information on a subject matter first to allow you guys to gain some value from what we have to offer here at the EOS Hour. So we've got a couple more people coming in. Welcome, Michael. All right. So Michael is joining us now. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. Sorry for my delay. I couldn't find the link.
That's okay. So the topic for today is some ways to address hitting the ceiling. So we all hit the ceiling in both in business and in our personal lives. And hopefully, if we can pass through and break through hitting the ceiling, we can live the EOS life, which is doing what you love with people you love, making a huge difference, being compensated appropriately with time for other passions. So if we can break through the ceiling with some of the tools that we have, and I'm only going to give you one tool today. If we can break through the ceiling, then the result can easily be, hold on, I'm having a message. If we can break through the ceiling, there we go. If we can break through the ceiling, then we can have a much more enjoyable life, and we can live the EOS life as I've shared it with you so far this morning. So let's talk about breaking through the ceiling. So most businesses believe that as we move forward, good morning, Ashley.
Good morning.
As we move forward to be successful, that we're never going to have challenges, we're never going to have problems. We're going to have this straight line, which is showing on this visual. The reality is that we do have problems, we do have challenges, and every time we have a challenge, it's potentially a place where we're hitting the ceiling. Now, before we hit the ceiling, we normally evolve. We're evolving and growing up this line. When we get to a place where we hit the ceiling, we actually revolt. There's a revolution taking place at the moment in time. We break through that revolution, we start to evolve again, and then we hit another hitting the ceiling, we revolt again. Now we can have these hitting the ceiling experiences at different levels in our companies. We can do it at the organizational level overall, we could do it at the department level, or we can have it on an individual level. Now, here's an interesting statistic that I want all of you to know. 8 out of 10 businesses fail within the first 18 months. 8 out of 10 businesses fail in the first 18 months. So if you are having a successful business and you're past the 18-month period, you are probably having a successful time doing what you're doing. Now, how do we know when we've hit the ceiling? Anybody know? Share what you might think. How do you know when you've hit the ceiling?
Your marketing model has broken.
Your market model is broken, okay? Pete, what do you think? No, you got unmute your mic. How do you know when you've hit the ceiling? What is an indicator that tells you you've hit the ceiling?
When the strategy that you're using that's worked up till now is no longer effective.
Got it. Okay. Nicole, any thoughts?
Will Marshall, I just spoke with a visionary today and he's so stressed out. He's honestly thinking about selling his business.
That is hitting the ceiling. That is hitting the ceiling. So let me tell you how you know when you've hit the ceiling. You feel it. You feel it. That's how you know when you've hit the ceiling. You feel it emotionally, physically, psychologically, physiologically. You feel it. Whenever you are feeling something at an emotional, physical, psychological, or physiological level, you've probably hit some ceiling that you need to break through. How do you feel it? So I'm going to ask the question again. Michael, how do you feel it when you hit a ceiling? Remember, this is about feeling now.
Oh, yeah.
Activity.
You feel nauseated from time to time with the stress.
Got it. Got it. Ashley, how do you feel it?
Yeah, so like stressed out, like you can't move any further, or there's not clarity in a lot of areas.
And how does that feel?
Super frustrating.
Frustrating. Got it.
Yeah,
And
like
how
you
does
can't
fr-
move.
and how does
Constrictive.
and how does frustrating feel?
Like you're, I don't know, like you're just, yeah, you're stressed out.
Got it. So let me give you the feelings that are out there. These are the categories of feelings: mad, glad, sad, fear, shame, or guilt. So I'm going to encourage you to think about how you feel when you hit the ceiling. It's going to be one of those 5 or 6 of what you are feeling at the time. Okay. So one way to overcome the feelings, one way, and there's a lot of other ways, but one way to break through the ceiling is to delegate and elevate. When we delegate and elevate, we eliminate things in our lives. I'm going to tell you the kinds of things that we should be eliminating in our lives, either on a personal level or on a business level. So here is a story that I'll let you think about as I share it with you. So, delegating and elevating is focused on spaghetti. So we go into an Italian restaurant and we order a plate of spaghetti. That plate of spaghetti we fill up to the top. It comes to the table with it piled high to the edges of the plate. We remember, though, we wanted to have a meatball. So there's 2 kinds of meatballs we could have. We could have a small meatball or a large meatball, right? But we order the large meatball. Hopefully you're seeing this on the screen. Hopefully we order the large meatball. The large meatball comes to the table on a separate plate. We want the meatball to be put on our spaghetti. What's going to happen to the meatball when we put the large meatball on top of the spaghetti?
It's going to roll off the mountain.
Going to roll off the mountain. It's going to fall off the plate. It's going to leave. So the spaghetti is a representation of all the things that we have to do. It's all our daily things. It's all our initiatives. It's everything that we have to do, both personal and professional. That's represented by the spaghetti. The meatball is representative of those things that are critical that need to be done in the moment. They have to get done now or in the future. So what are we going to do with the spaghetti to keep this meatball on the plate? What are the options that we have? Anybody?
Yeah, divide and conquer it, spread it out.
Divide and conquer it. Share it with another person. Take half the spaghetti, give it to another person. Eat some of the spaghetti before you put the meatball on top of the plate. Okay? Means do some of our tasks before we take on the big initiative. Okay? We could move some of the spaghetti onto another plate and save it for another time. Okay? So there's all kinds of things we could do with the spaghetti. We could also do something with the meatball. What could we do with the meatball?
You cut it up.
Cut it up.
Cut it up, break it up into pieces. We call those milestones when we're doing a rock, doing little pieces at a time. So this is a good metaphor for delegating and elevating. Now, when we delegate and elevate, I'm going to suggest this table. Now, don't worry about what's in the gray. That's talking about me. Okay? So we have this chart, which I would encourage you to make on a piece of paper for yourself. And the items above the black line are the things that we love and we're great at, and the things that we're like and we're good at. The things we love and we're great at, and we like and we're good at, those are the things that we should keep on our plate. We should not delegate those things. Those are the things that we should keep. The things that we don't like and we're not good at, and the things that we don't like and we're not good at, don't like and good, and don't like and not good, those are the things we should be delegating to someone else. Okay? So as an example, in the red box, you can see that one of the things I don't like to do and I'm not good at is I don't like booking appointments. So what do? I hired an executive assistant and delegated the responsibility of booking appointments to my executive assistant. Okay? I also bought Calendly, and so I use Calendly to book my appointments, right? So if I can get that off my plate, that means I can do more of the things I love and I'm great at, and I like and I'm good at. All right. So what are the excuses or the stories we tell ourselves that prevent us from delegating? So the first thing is, it's my job to do it, even if I don't like to do it and I'm not good at it. I'll just do it because it's my job. I have no one to delegate to. Small companies, we don't have people to delegate to. I can do it better than they can do it, right? I can do it better than delegating it to someone else. If I don't do it, it won't get done. Well, I don't trust that people get it done. Okay, I don't have time to train them to do it. I might as well just go ahead and do it myself because I don't have the time. They have too much on their plate, and if I delegate, they may show up better than me. So these are the kinds of excuses that we play out in our head all the time when we decide that we cannot delegate the responsibility that we are expecting to get done. Make sense? Everybody got it? These are simple things, but they're important. All right. What's the value of delegation and elevation? So these two words come together. Most of the time we only talk about delegation, but we want to talk about delegation and elevation. So first of all, if I delegate and elevate, you work on priority things that you love to do. You work on priority things you love to do. You manage and use your time more effectively and efficiently. You elevate yourself to a greater success because you're loving what you do. Remember, when you do things you love, you're going to be that much more proficient in, right? When you do things you hate, you're not going to put the effort into it. You enable others to work on the things that they love to do. By delegating stuff you don't like to do to someone who does like to do it, you're elevating them to their success. You elevate by enabling them to learn. If they don't know how to do something, you delegate it to them. Isn't that better for them to learn than if you do it yourself and they don't have any opportunity to learn from it? You elevate others by allowing them to be successful. So by delegating and them taking on the responsibility and they are successful, they see the value that they bring to the organization. All right. So I'm sure that you have seen this metaphor for doing things. So let me ask you a question. What's the priority of items dropping into this jar? What would be the priority of items to get all of this into this jar? Who's got a suggestion of what the first one is? Throw it out. Ashley, what do you think the first one?
So rocks.
Rocks.
Rocks are the first one, absolutely. Because they're the biggest, they take up the most room. We got to get those done first, right? What's the
Yep.
second one?
Pebbles.
Pebbles. What's the third one?
Sand.
And
And what's the last one?
Water.
Water.
Exactly. So Stephen Covey brought this up in his book called First Things First. He said the most important things got to get done. Those are the rocks. The second is pebbles. Those are all the day-to-day activities that we need to do to get done in that day. They are things that are focused on the work. The next is sand, our daily interruptions. So give me a couple daily interruptions. What would they be? One, telephone calls, right?
emails.
Emails. Okay. I have to use the restroom. It's a daily interruption, right? These are all daily interruptions that we have to face. They will be there and they will be interrupting and disrupting us. Okay. And the last is water, everything else. There's everything else that goes on in the day that fills up our day so that our day goes from an 8-hour day to a 24-hour day. Remember, this is happening at home too, right? The only time it probably is not happening is when we sleep. But the reality is it's happening when we sleep too, right? Our dreams, right? Okay. Having to wake up in the middle of the night because a truck goes by the house, right? It happens when we sleep too. So when we're talking about rocks and we're talking about things that need to get done, which are rocks and the pebbles, what do you think, and which quadrant do you believe rocks would fall into? Are they urgent and important, not urgent and important, urgent and not important, or not urgent and not important? Tell me where you might find the rocks.
Urgent and important because they're your big priorities.
I would say you most often find them in important but not urgent. And so they keep getting cast aside and cast aside and cast aside.
Absolutely. So rocks are the things that need to get done over a period of time. They don't need to get done today, but they do need
Okay.
to get done over a period of time. So they're not urgent, but they are critical and important to the business, right? So we need to do, they're critical and important for the business, right? Now, things that need to get done immediately, we call, in
Pebbles.
EOS, we call to-dos. And
Yeah.
to-dos are urgent and important. They've got to get done in the next 7 days. And they're important, right? So I just want you to recognize the difference between to-dos and rocks, or rocks and pebbles. Rocks are not urgent, but they're very important. Pebbles or to-dos are urgent and not important. All right. So those are my words of wisdom for today to give you some value by joining us for an hour. Now here's what I want to do. I want to go back to, I should have done, I want to go back to these questions and ask you to share, based upon what I just shared with you, where are you hitting the ceiling? How are you feeling about it? What's the priority that is next waiting for you to address? And then you might want to talk about some of these other questions identified below. So, Ashley, seeing that this is your first time with us, why don't you share your name and your company and what do you do, and then answer the question.
So I'm actually at an interesting transition. Ashley Harris is the name, and I am located in Ohio in the Dayton area. And I'm actually, background is, I have a bunch of different types of backgrounds. And so the reason I joined this one is to learn, but then also because I'm actually job interviewing right now. So background is education, but I've also planted a church in another country. I've directed things. And so I'm trying to shift gears and figure out where in business would I like to work. I'm really good at improving systems and developing strategies. And so I am being asked in two different, specifically, possibly three businesses that are wanting to hire me, possibly. And I'm trying to learn, like, there are some holes in their structure, but I'm good at development and strategy. And so I was like, I'm trying to evaluate, like, am I going to be helpful to them? Am I going to be able to move around? So as far as answering these questions, like, I want to listen to you guys to help me to make a decision in this, right? Like, it's going to be another piece for me, if that makes any sense. So,
Yep, it does. We'll get back to you in a moment because
yeah,
sure there'll be some words of wisdom you will get. Michael,
yeah.
share who you are and what you do, and then identify what's the most important priority that you should be working on.
Me, correct?
Yep.
Michael Corwin. I have a practice where I come alongside CEOs to help them better manage their businesses. I'm what you call an integrator, and I help deploy EOS into companies, and I am working really hard to find CEOs that recognize they need me and can afford to pay me. And those two combinations are very challenging right now in this interest rate environment. It's pretty much sucked up everybody's spare cash. So it's a challenging arena right now. And I've got to figure out new approaches to getting in front of people. And that's the biggest thing I need to do right now. I got to figure this out.
Got it. So we'll get back to you in a moment. Now, Ashley, I want to tell you something. You're in the same exact position that Michael's in. Okay. Michael just has some background behind him and some wisdom and some other things, but you're both in the same position. You're both trying to find, the right place, the right people, the next step in the journey. Okay.
She's actually ahead of me. She's talking to 3 people directly.
Okay, good. Pete, you're not going to be allowed not to participate.
So if you were to ask me that question, what I would say to you is, what if I was trying to launch a business, a Zoom virtual business forum like you're doing here? My question would be, how can I get a consistent monthly targeted attendance of 20 to 25 participants? What would be the strategy to be able to make that a consistent attendance on a monthly basis?
Got it. Okay. Interesting. You and I have the same question. Okay, so good. All right, Nicole.
Hello, everybody. It's Nicole with Vision Spark. So my role as a client strategist is to deal with visionaries whenever they are needing to find the right people for the right seats. And a lot of times they come to me and they should have done this 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. They're stressed out. They don't have any energy. And so my priority really right now is to help them walk through whenever they do find their number 2, their integrator, to help them realize that it will bring a lot of peace and a lot of more energy, and it is will generate revenue to their company. So that is my priority currently.
And your company's name?
Vision Spark.
Vision Spark. Pete, your company's name? No, you got to turn on. You got it.
Peer Advisory Forum.
Great. Michael, company name?
TrueView Advisors.
Got it. And Ashley, you don't have one yet.
Well, kind of. I mean, like one is they're called Women in Business Networking and Women in Christian Leadership, and they're trying to transplant and make it global, and they're looking to me to help them do that. Possibly.
Got it. So let's for the moment, who would like to be challenged? Okay, Ashley, you raised your hand. All right.
Good.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to challenge you.
Good.
Okay. So here's the reality that I've learned working with people, with executives, with visionaries, with integrators. Here's what I've learned. Everybody has the answer. You actually have the answer. You actually know what to do. You just haven't been asked the right question to make the answer aware. So who's got a perfect question for Ashley? It may even come out of the introductory remarks I offered. Okay, I will ask the first question. Ashley, what is it you love and you're great at?
So I'm great at improving systems where they lack. Not so much. I mean, I can rally a group of people and help them and explain vision and know how to get there. So oftentimes people will have these great ideas. I also can create the great ideas, and I have these ideas, but I also know like the due diligence to get there and the strategy. And so oftentimes visionaries are looking to me like, oh, wow, you can make sense of this and help me to get from A to B and all the details in between. And you actually see how to go forward as well. So I love doing that. I do it naturally and I'm good at that.
Got it. Who's got the next question based upon what you just heard?
Did you say that you are already talking to 3 different options?
Yeah. Yep. 2 of them are nonprofit actually, I guess all 3 of them are nonprofit organizations. And so, and they are all in a developmental process. And so they have all 3 of them have existing things, and it's kind of like they're trying to go to the next level. And some of them are like, woohoo, let's go. And I'm like, do you know where you're going? Like, hold on, there's a lot of lacking of clarity here. When you're casting your vision to these people, when I talk to these people, they do not understand your vision. So I'm trying to gather the research and make it make sense to them. So I'm actually, so I can revamp their vision and explain it in a way that makes sense and show them how to get there. Does that make sense?
Okay, who's got the next question?
I have a question. Are they financed? Do they have enough money to pay you?
So 2 of them do, and the one actually is trying to create my position and say like, how much do you want and what and trying to figure out how many tasks I can handle. And so they're working with me on the salary. But because I have 2 teenage children, that matters. So you can't have all of me. And so that's why that negotiation is going on, because I have boundaries for how much I'm willing to expend.
What's the challenge making a decision on one of these 3?
Some of it, well, the lack of job descriptions, because that, because it's in developmental process, I know that they can just keep on adding different things to my plate. And there's a time constraint with that, and an energy expenditure. And if you're going to continue, so it's not my favorite that there's a lack of structure in all three of these areas. So that's a challenge for me, but that could be why they're trying to bring me on, to create that at the same time. So some of the challenges, are you going to listen to if you're going to pay me to be like a strategist, so to speak, are you going to listen to my ideas and like move forward and allow me to move around, or are you going to limit me? Because I don't do well being micromanaged.
Okay, I've got a question.
Go, Pete.
So probably one of the first questions that you need to address is, from a financial standpoint, how long can you afford to be without an income while you're searching for a job?
Right.
See, because if you're in a good financial situation, it could take you 2 to 3 months to find the right job. But if you're under pressure, you may have to take a position on an interim basis just to cover your overhead.
Right. Yep. I am in a position where I can take my time a little bit, which is nice.
Okay, so following that, have you made a list of what's important to you with regards to a position that you would ultimately take? It's written
Yeah.
down. It's written down. You have identified all the criteria that needs to be matched in order for you to accept a job.
So I actually did that. It's funny that you asked that. Like, legit did that. I said,
Good.
there are 24 hours in a day. And I started saying, like, ideally, I mean, in a nutshell, my ideal thing, because I have 2 teenagers that I give a care about, because I'm a mother and all that too. If I were to accept a developing part-time position, the max I can work at would want to be 30 hours a week, so that my family gets the other part, so that I serve them well. And I broke down, like, so hybrid remote is important.
Okay,
And
so the answer is yes, you've created a list.
yeah,
Now, are you looking for prospect jobs based upon that list?
yes.
And are you successful at doing that?
Yes, 2 of them, they know, I guess they know when they've asked me, they know, this is what I've said, and so again, I'm kind of waiting on them also, because they're trying to develop some of the things. And so one of them is like, okay, well, if you are willing to work this amount of hours, let me see how I can use your skills to be able to move forward in this direction. And then another one, they might not have, there's a seasonal. So it's like, sometimes I just need you for like 15 hours a week, but sometimes I'm going to need you like between September and like February, I'll need you for 30. So I'm trying to think about that too.
So it sounds to me like you're in a fixed mindset perspective. It means you've got these 3, you're waiting for these 3, you've got some ideas you want to be with one of these 3. What if all 3 disappeared tomorrow? What would you do?
I'm open to that. Mike, I don't know how much to put out there, because I don't do well if I have like 10 things coming at me. It's like, okay, now I have even more. I mean, you have more things to work with and more options, so it's not awful, but it's just, and I'm decisive, but it's like, at what point when you're trying to choose a job that fits you, like, I mean, you just go to like a ton of different interviews and figure out which one fits the
Yes.
best. I mean, I guess that is the answer.
Yes. Pete, you got something? Mike, you got something?
I would probably
Oh.
approach it a little bit differently, but I would ask Nicole, because I'll bet since she's in this particular industry, she's already got some instincts on what she's heard so far.
Ashley, I'm going to connect with you after this call. We need to have a conversation. Thank you for that, Pete. Great segue, Pete. Thank you.
Well, I'm just sitting here thinking, you're in this industry. I'm listening to what you're saying, and I would be guiding you in a different direction as well, because as I hear this, it sounds to me like you're kind of like this on what your next step is. And Marshall's trying to ask you questions to help you develop laser focus. So if you were to use your advice on yourself, you would probably come up with a slightly different strategy. You may be too close to your situation to think strategically at it.
Yeah, and
That
I'm
makes
gonna
sense.
I'm gonna suggest one more thing, Ashley. You're hitting the ceiling. Exactly what we just talked about. You've hit the ceiling. How are you going to break through the ceiling? You're stuck. From my observation, right? You're stuck. The question is, how do you get unstuck? And I think Nicole's phone call to you might be a good way to get unstuck.
Well, she knows she's got contacts within the industry and she can give her relevant logical sense. But from my perspective, what I would do if it were me, okay, I would make a list of what the criteria are. But what I hear you say is the number one most important criteria for you is it's got to be a hybrid position where you can work virtually because you have a family that you need to spend time with. And that's going to be a limiting factor. If Nicole came to you and said, you're not going to believe this, but Apple Computer is looking for somebody with your exact experience, but they want you in Cupertino, and it's $200,000 a year, you probably couldn't take the job.
Right.
Okay.
There
So-
are a lot of people in your shoes, Ashley. I hear it every single day.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are kind of gravitating towards a fractional role, a fractional position, but we'll chat offline more about this later.
Okay.
Okay, so Ashley, your takeaway from today is?
Well, I would say that not to box myself in and limit to the options that are out there. It is okay to have multiple things and not just, like you said, the fixed mindset. And then other than just the discussion piece, I totally agree with the delegate and elevate. My brain wraps around like 70-30. You know, if you have 100% of your day, like if you can operate in that 70% of it, that gives you the energy, like you said, doing the things that you love and you're good at, and can delegate that other 30% to others, then you have energy to take care of the things that you have.
Good. So give us your email address. Nicole, ready to write it down?
Yeah, I can put it in the chat as well, just so you actually have it visual, because mine's a dinosaur. It's the Y-mail, and everybody likes to they like to send it to the Gmail. Where are we?
Okay, so
Hey,
Nicole,
Marshall, while she's doing that, may I offer a quick insight?
absolutely.
Ashley, my name's Michael. One thing that I would do, just based on what I heard from you, is that these people are going to move slowly because of all the reasons that they need you. You need to write the job description, and you need to give each one of them the job description you think they need for you, and you need to write the parameters. You need to say, this is how much you have to pay me, and this is how much I'm going to work for you in a given week. Yeah, because you can't wait for them. You're going to wait until Christmas for them to get back. Plus, they are probably in the need of creating roles, and you do it gently, you don't do it presumptuously, but it sounds to me like you're in the midst of creating roles for yourself, which is hugely advantageous. If you create a role for yourself because it fits you like a glove. So that's what I would say, and I would not hesitate to work on that right away. Anyone can disagree with me, but that's what I would recommend.
Okay, let me make a comment on what Michael just said. That's a very smart idea, Michael. That's very clever. What I would shift slightly, Michael, is for her to approach it like you just said, which is approach it as if you were a trusted advisor, a consultant, an outside expert. Write a proposal for what they're talking to you about. Propose it for X number of hours a week, and then put in there toward the end what your costs might be on this. But what I would do is I would even make the cost open for negotiation or discussion. This way, it's the job that you're trying to get, not the price.
Right.
Okay? So, in other words, you're saying, this is what I've written up is a proposal for the function you're talking about, where I would be able to work with you to do this and this and this. And there's your job description. And then you put down X number of hours a week, hybrid, flexible, etc.
Good.
Anyway,
Yeah.
good job, Michael.
Yep. This is what this is all about. Okay, Ashley, I think you got a couple of pieces, and you also got Nicole that's going to reach out to you. And if you want to reach out to Michael and Pete, we'll just drop your email in the chat, and then they'll reach out to you, or you can reach out to them.
Okay, so
Thank you.
this is a good time for me to say, what about my topic? In other words, what could we do to develop a bigger following or turnout to this monthly meeting?
Yep.
Because in my opinion, I think we should be pulling in anywhere from 20 to 25 people a month.
Totally agree. Totally agree. So who's got some ideas? Nicole, why did you come back?
Because I took over 2 pages of notes and I found it extremely informative. Are you promoting any of this, Marshall, on LinkedIn?
Oh yeah, we are all over LinkedIn.
Perfect.
And I will, for both Pete and for Michael, because you both are looking for opportunities, we have a major campaign on LinkedIn, and we have a major campaign through our connectors. We have a technology that we're using, which I'll share with both of you. It's very reasonable on a monthly basis, and it's got the ability to be automated, and it's a really cool campaign. We found it, and it's working really, really well for us. So
Love it. I'll sync up with you on that.
yeah, and I'll connect you with the guy that brought it to us. It's very reasonable in price, and it works. All my people on my team are using it. So it's something that you should be looking at. Now, with that said, Pete, what's the answer to the question?
Okay, so now I'm not looking to do this again. I was doing this up until October of last year, and we would get about 20 to 25 people at these things. And almost never was there a first-time person there. It was the same people coming to the thing all the time.
Yep.
And this went on for like 5, 6 years. And my point was, these people would tell other people about it because the subject matter changed all the time. And so the way you're doing it this time, Nicole, you were here last month, weren't you?
I sure was.
He's using a different format this time, isn't he? He's more conversational. Not only that, he trimmed his beard. Doesn't he look more handsome now? So my point is, the more open dialogue you have where other people ask questions and get input, the better off you are. But I'm going to give you a quick example. I attended a webinar last week that a guy I know did, and it was the best webinar I'd attended. I left after 20 minutes. That afternoon, I had one of my consulting clients come in, and I was telling him about the webinar. And I said, I left after 20 minutes. And he said to me, was it not a good webinar? I said, no, it was the best one I ever went to. He said, then why did you leave? I said, my goal in attending a webinar is to come away with 3 relevant key ideas that I can implement within the next 48 hours. At the 20-minute point, I had 4. I don't need 10, I only need 3. Okay? So my point is, it's not the tonnage of ideas you get, but the next 3 steps that you want to use to expand your level of progress. And that's the reason why I'm back with Marshall today. It's like, I got some good ideas out of Marshall's the last time, which already made me change some things I'm doing. So I'm back here for the top 3 ideas. I got them already, but I'm staying in. So I want to know, what can we do to get 12 people in next month's meeting?
So if each of you invited 3, there's four of you on here. If each of you invited 3, we would have 12 plus 4. And it's not hard to invite 3.
Well, here's the thing. Marshall, you and I should have another follow-up conversation, because I've got some suggestions that you might find relevant, okay? But I can show you how we built this thing over time. And my point is, depending on your format, a lot of those people keep asking me, how come I'm not on your invite list anymore? And I told them, I just got tired of hosting these things. So there's people that used to go to mine. In fact, there's a list in their business plan that has all the people's names, and we used to keep track of whether you came to the meeting or not. And if you RSVP'd and didn't show up, you got dropped from the list. Right? So anyway, we'll have a conversation about it. But my question to you is, Ashley, are you going to be back here next month?
Yes, but I have a lot of questions, because the one, where are you getting your numbers? Why do you want those numbers? Because the larger the group, the discussion can get tailored, as in this one, even though I feel like we bounce a little bit. But if you have 20 people and the one is sitting there, and, you know, as you open it up to discussion, people can dominate, and the whole thing can be about the 1 or the 2. And then the other people are checked out, I'm gone, whatever. And so how are you determining like 20 as your number, and that's ideal? I think it's too large personally. I would say smaller,
Okay.
for the fact where they would want to come back and there can be more discussion. I would probably say 12, to be honest,
Good.
not 20.
Good, that's a good point. No, let me address that. Okay, hold on, Michael's got a question. Because I can remember, I did this for 7 years. Okay.
Go ahead, Michael.
So I'll tell you why I came back. It's because I met someone in your last one and we had a nice follow-up, and I am hopeful that folks like Nicole keep showing up. Thank you for coming back, Nicole. And here's where I'm hoping this goes, Marshall, and it may not be appropriate, but I'll keep showing up if it does. But because of who you are and what you do, I have seen this as a place that will attract both visionaries who need integrators and integrators who need visionaries, because there's material that visionaries need, right? That if they just show up, they'll learn something that will benefit them. And this presentation did. This was very helpful to visionaries. And there happen to be some integrators here, Ashley being one of them. I happen to be one of them. But a forum like this on Zoom is great because if you do have visionaries and integrators showing up, you can have vision and integrators break up into breakout rooms, right? So you can have the overall discussion, but I wouldn't worry about numbers. Zoom can accommodate 1,000 people breaking up into breakout rooms of 4 or 5. So, and they can all be on a similar topic for discussion panels so that visionaries can pick the brains of integrators and integrators can pick the brains of visionaries, right? I see it as a potentially massively beneficial coming together around really important material that you present, Marshall. That's just where I hoped it would be going. I'm not saying it should go there. But it felt like it could.
Yes. So Ashley, think out of the box. That's what I always do. I'm always thinking out of the box. I know Pete is always thinking out of the box. So I don't care if there's 3 people on here or there's 100 people on it. We have the skill set, we have the technology to manage people. The
Right.
real challenge is getting the right people on here and making sure that everybody walks away, as Pete just said, with 3 nuggets, 2 or 3 nuggets, where they say, it's worth me coming back.
Right.
When we start getting the right people, it'll build and grow as needed. It may end up being 2 webinars instead of 1, right? So that's the goal. My invitation to all of you, including my people are on here also, my invitation to you guys is to go find 2 or 3 invitees who you would like to be sitting at a table with, talking, just generally talking, because they bring some value to you, and bring them as a guest to the next meeting. And we will have, although Pete has suggested some things that I haven't bought into yet, we will still have a short presentation on something of value, okay? And then we'll open it up and have a group discussion either on that item or on anything that anybody brings, with the focus on what's the most important priority going forward. Okay,
That sounds great.
Nicole?
I think that sounds great. 2 to 3 people.
So that's all you have to do is bring 2 or 3 people. Pete, 2 to 3 people, right?
Piece of cake.
Got it. I know, Michael, it's easy for you.
Uh,
Ashley, guess what? You have 2 or 3 people that you know of that would get value sitting at a table with people like us.
Absolutely.
Bring them. And Sai, you know a couple too.
I really like what Pete also said about the nuggets, because that's huge, really. You know, like if your content, what you're presenting, and to be able to say, hey, I can take this and immediately apply it so it's sticky, right, to this situation. It's not all these theories and these principles or whatever that I can't grab and immediately transfer and try to apply. That's a big component of webinars or, anything these days. So I like that you brought that up.
And the essence of business, for all of us who have been in this for so long, running a business is easy. Running a business is easy. We make it way too complicated. We create our own controversies within ourselves and our businesses by making it way too complicated. And so what we're trying to do here is to just bring basic, simple principles that, again, as Peter said, that you can apply, and as you said, Ashley, that you can apply immediately, literally when you get off the phone. As an example, the box that I showed you of love and great. This, let me show you the box again. I want you to see it. Love and great, like and good, Don't like and good, don't like not good. We should all be doing this. We should only be doing above the black line. Let's throw all the bad stuff over to someone else who loves it and is great at it. Okay? All right, good. All right. Pete, any other thoughts of?
No.
Okay, good. Then we are almost at the end of the hour, which is exactly where we want to be. Oops, let me get to there.
So something else, the reason why I came onto this was not just like, oh, I saw, just so you know, for the new person, oh, I saw this social, media ad and it looked interesting, or what's that about? Someone when I don't know if you've heard of Giant Worldwide, and so they work for a company that it's more of the relational intelligence of a workplace and trying to do coaching and things like that. And so many people kept saying, Ashley, I think you would be great this, great this, great this. And where I loved that, the more I spoke to this woman, she was like, do you know what EOS is? Like everything that you're saying, you need to probably look into that, because coaching people on, or, because I have an ed background and coaching and stuff like that. And so she was the first one. She had known about you guys, and she was like, you might really want to look into what they do. And I did. And I was like, well, I don't have a business. If you looked at my resume, I don't have the qualifications, because I have not been given the opportunity. I'd have to go back to school and have all the business stuff supposed anyway, from what I read. And so I was like, well, let me just see what this is then, because if I can't, you got to start somewhere. So I was like, I'm going to join, because she had mentioned it first, and then I saw this probably on LinkedIn, and I was like, I want to learn from them then, because I know that intrinsically I have a lot of the stuff, just how my brain works anyways, and what I've done. So let me fill in the gaps with you guys.
So Ashley, I'm going to tell you something right now. You could easily be an EOS implementer like me. You could. Okay. The only thing that's constraining you from it is that it's a full-time job. That's the constraint, right? But everything else, you could learn what it takes to be an EOS implementer. Okay. And there's a significant cost to become an EOS implementer. Significant.
Sure.
Okay.
Listen, I'm going to have to run.
We are at the end of the meeting. Thank you, guys. We will be having a tape prepared of this. It's going to be put in our YouTube location. So thank you for coming. Each of you will be bringing 3 next month. We look forward to you being here with us. Thank you so much for your thoughts, your input, and your participation and engagement. Have a wonderful month. We'll see you next month.